kind of a late return, but we'll work for about another hour and a half, and to make up for lost time. But I went out to lunch. Sorry, not sorry. um, all right. So we did actually figure out how to get all these things working properly. What I'd like to figure out now is understanding how to make a filter. So we have effects, filters, and I can make a filter. So this is what I want to do. I want to make a filter. I want to make a custom filter because what I did here for this graph is blur. So I take the ID, blur it, and then sharpen it, and then send it back out. I'm going to do that a lot. I'll probably do that many, many more times. So I want to just turn it into a filter if possible, but I know I can do that, but I'm not entirely sure how. So I think we'll remove the mesh ID, or remake it again for the 8th time. But we need to, I'm assuming, get some sort of input. This. And we just leave. Oh yeah, of course, because we can just leave it open. And then I want to say you are a filter. All right, so if we go back here, should be able to add my this. Love this. Love. Not compatible with channel base color. Ah, I see. Okay, so not this. Not that way. All right. So let's just make a little paint layer right here. I'm gonna turn down the softness, so that way we can see if what we're doing will actually filter. So that was not the way where it was a filter, but I do have filter end effect, material effect, and generator. What I want to figure out are inputs. Maybe this is not what I think it is. I'm feeling that what I used here, what I think I'm doing over here is not how this actually works. So I can open up the input here. Let me just see really quick. So we have this paint. And then if I add a projected mask, UV, and drag in the silver edging we put here, this this is not working how I thought. All right, that's okay. Worth figuring out, annoying at the same time. Let's did this, but once again, drag that in here. Can I just back up to the very beginning? Yes, I can. Thank goodness. Man, that would have been a lot of work. Awesome. All right, now we can adjust our blur, which I believe we set at like 0.01. Then we set the contrast to 1. 0.02. There we go. Much sharper. Gets rid of that aliasing. Cool. So it is a bummer because we're going to have to reuse that a bunch. Excuse me. Actually, we can reuse it. We just have to do it slightly differently than I thought. Because I should be able to take these chunks here convert spawn attachments to graphs. Blur or blur, sharpen, mask. All right. Now that's useful because now we have that on its own layer. If we go back to this, we can delete all this garbage, take our blur sharpen, and just pass it in and pass it back out. Okay, so we'll still need to make a graph for each mask, but we can save a lot of our work here, and then that will make it a lot simpler to use later. All right. Wait, we still have to feed it the same freaking inputs. And let's see, here and here each time. All right, there we go then. Okay, so now we have the mask jacket silver edging for here. What the name, I know. And I think we'll go ahead and change it a little bit, because right now we're using a blur. I'm going to try a bevel instead. No, I'm just going to keep it exactly the same. All right. So now what we want to do is do the same thing for the piping here. So we'll take our mesh ID to mask. We will delete it. We will add a new. Actually, no, we won't do new. We'll do new graph. Nice folds. Well, thank you, Kaiser. Hello, welcome. Element graph. Wish we could have a graph and we could have multiple of these tabs open. Can I move these? No. So this one will be mask. Uh, Piping. How's your Friday going, Kaiser? I could make it here. How do I do that? Finished. I've half finished remaking the gun from scratch. For now, it was almost no scratching artifacts in dense corner. Interesting. Oh, sorry. All right, gorgeous work. Gorgeous. I think what we'll do is we'll make another layer here. It'll be piping highlight. And then we'll add a mask builder here. Turn up that curvature. Invert it. Can't really see where it is though. That is not as good as I thought. Also not very good. Hmm. Use the normal to that's like up down direction, which I should use more often. So I don't really want any of these. I probably want to make a graph. Yeah, every time. I'm like, what should I do? Make a graph. And we'll call this mask typing curve middle. Type middle. Something like that. And then the bacon here. I want to extract the normal. So I want to get the normal. We will have to convert it at some point. But my goal would be to filter it. Some sort of filter frequencies. Or maybe they have a normal scatter. Normalize utility. Image just as normalize. Calculate use the vertex normals, tangents. Set. Mesh height to normal. I want to go the other way. Mesh normal to height, probably. Ah, yes. This is it right here, facing normal. So you can take the normal and huh. Ah. Do I need to levels it after? All right, let's try that. Oh, my brain is so big. My brain is so big. Don't know if I want to use the levels because all I'm doing is upping the contrast. So let's delete that. Make a contrast instead. Drop this right here, drop that right there. And then I'll want to give my graph a float value called contrast. And we'll drag that out, pop this open, and drop it right here. Okay, which gives me control in this level. We then up that contrast. Which is doing something. Interesting. Not the way I thought that would go. We have to invert it. Oh, and then a auto level. I think that should work now. Oh, thank you. Whew. It was working. I think there was a delete and reconnect. Okay, let's try this again. Facing normal, right here. We get that value. And then we should be able to level set. But I guess I want an auto level. That's what I actually want. Just take a level, normal level. Here. And expand. I see. Check it out. So the luminosity definitely want to clamp. This is normal, 0. And I think what's missing is where this 0.5 should be. So I want the 0.5 to always be, or I want the middle to always be the middle of these. So we want to make a vector. Normal combine? No, that's not it. We want to make a vector 3 value. How do I do that? First, we need an input. So let's do that. We have our contrast right here. Then what I'd like to do is combine that, or append, or something with a vector. or oh, RGB. It's not saying vector, it's saying RGB. So linear to sRGB. How do can I just plug this in here? Can I plug this in here? No. Gimme. Ah, cool. Hmm. No, this is an input, right? How do I make a custom color? Color match. RGB. Say color. Color to hex. Hex to color. Replace color. Color to grayscale. Grayscale to color. Average color. Solid color. Let's give me a color. And oh, perfect. It's looking for a color as input. Um, hmm. That's a little weird. I should be able to adjust this input, but there's no way for me to combine things into a vector 3 unless I'm missing something. I can lerp a vector, component, multiply. I can sum, max element, and normalize vector, bend vector. Oh wait, what if I just say element image? That's a color. Okay. That still doesn't give me a lot of control on how I can break this number apart, though. It's actually not a color. It's an sRGB. I want just RGB. Wait, vector 3. Okay, here we go, vector 3. So this I can plug in here. Nice. And that might be enough. I just call this levels. Let me delete this, save. I have to go to the restroom. I'll be right back. Hello, Nammers. Hello, welcome. We're doing a little bit of a late stream here since I went out for lunch instead of returning. But hello, welcome. And we're trying to figure out some fun stuff. Because what I can do here is actually start super late stream. Yes, indeed. Most definitely. Most definitely. Super late for you, especially. Why am I blurring it here? I can blur it here by doing 7 or something. Upping this value. How's the instamification go? Instamatification going? It's going pretty well, actually. It's going pretty well. We're learning a lot. Basically, what it boils down to is, do you like making graphs? If you like making graphs, Instamat is for you. Because it's the only way I've really seen that is going to give you the control I think most people will be looking for. I believe. What's a graph in this kind of work? So, a graph is very similar to Blender. Like when you are making a shader in Blender, you can do a lot of similar things in Instamat. So if we're looking on the left here, you can see the project I'm in right now is this one right here, this paint layer. And this is just kind of like your standard Substance Painter project. You've got your layers over here. I can pop them open. They've got masks, and you can make a lot of similar masks, like the edgeware mask, the paint mask, things like that. You can make a bunch of masks like this. We can also make graphs and use them like masks. And so the graphs are these other objects on the left here, these little squares with the boxes in there. And I also have a few open in my tab. So let's look at this one here. And with these, it's very similar to like a Blender shader workflow. So I can take in my initial bake of the jacket. I brought it in, and then I can use all of the data that I baked. So for example, I'm using the normal data to get a direction from that normal in order to make a little mask, because I want to have like a very specific mask for this these lines right here. So if I go to this view on the piping, I kind of wanted to target like a highlight in the middle. So you can kind of see it there. It's a little soft, but you can take those and instead of like stacking all these effects like you would in Substance Painter, you really want to just make a graph. And it works very similarly to like stacking layers in Substance Painter, but you just put it into a graph instead. And there's actually a lot more functionality here because you can make a graph like this blur sharpen mask here. You make this graph and then bring that into other graphs too. So that way you can make your own little custom piece of logic and start building on top of it. Rather than having to set up the same set of layers again and again and again, you can kind of save it, which I actually think is awesome. I think that's super, super awesome. That was going to save me a lot of time, to be quite honest. Are the pre-made ones out there, can you import? I will try to put together a little resource of the ones that I'm using, because I think I'm going to do an update for the initial tutorial I made to kind of show what I've been doing with this stuff. I do think there's a community one somewhere, but generally no. Generally no, there's not. But yeah, we can reuse stuff. So initially I used the pipe middle here. I call this mask piping, but it really should be called really should just get rid of this. Add in an element image. Call this mesh or tangent normal map. That way I can use any map in here. Doesn't really matter what I use. And we'll call this tangent normal or normal facing. Okay. I really need to think of better names for this. What would be a better name? I'm going to call these nodes. Node normal facing. They're meant to be more utility. These ones are specifically masks that I'm making. Use as a mask, and I use nodes in there. This one should also be node blur sharpen. Okay. All right, getting confusing. Now, because I made a node normal facing, when I go back to my jacket, I have that. Put that in here. And I just need to give it my mesh ID map. No, that's the. Give it this one. Color space mismatch. The source, tangent normal maps, color space sRGB does not match the destination. Color space linear. That's, I don't care. I don't give a fuck. Why would that matter? It really shouldn't matter. Okay, no, it is working. All right. Did I give it the wrong image? Facing normal, normal tangent. What happens if I take this back? I mean, the bake. What format is this? Oh, right. It is a linear thing. Weird. That's not what I expected. Okay. So yeah, no, I guess that is giving me the right value. I'm confused. Is that? Can't be it. What is different about that? It's a vector 3f? No. Did you ever manage to get any of the data transfer add-ons to work in 4.1? I have not tested them yet, but next week I will be definitely sitting down and trying getting them to work because we'll be rigging then. But as of yet, no, I have not. Interesting. Maybe I tell it that it's an image. And I tell it that it's a normal? Normal. Normal. Oh, okay, perfect. Gotcha. Why is that still yelling at me? Don't yell at me. Semantic usage mismatch. No semantic usage is set for the source, normal, but the destination has a semantic usage normal map tangent. Fine. That should be okay. That should be fine. Yes. Okay, now it's working. Love that every mask always comes with adjustment properties. That is actually awesome. I really do love that. Okay, but the main reason I went out of my way to... Why is it blue? Why are you blue? You are blue. Piping shadow. Okay, that's below it. Is because now that I added it on its own layer, which we'll call, actually tell it to be a node or normal facing, which be its own thing. We'll want to also add it here. Can I just copy and paste it? Yes, I can. And we'll invert this one. So I'm gonna turn off the top one so I can see what I'm doing. This time I want the crevices. There. That. Blur it a little. So it should, again, it should not be blue. Around there. Good stuff. And then we'll also add in here mesh mask builder, set it to linear dodge, and then add in it ambient occlusion to give it that really sharp crevice. Really didn't need to use my, yeah, it doesn't matter. Cool. So now we're gonna do one more layer around the piping, which we'll call piping shadow. And again, we can use our mask that we just made, or one of the graphs, which is our mask piping. Drop it right there. You know what? I take that back. I'm going to make a new graph. Just make a new graph. And this one will be mask piping. Yeah. And here we drop out a, you may have guessed it, a mask. But we can use our original piping graph and then feed this in here. And I'm going to do a blur it, which I will want to be able to control in the other view. So I'll add a float, blur. That. And then we'll do a blend like so. Take this one, drop it here, set this to, let's say, subtract. Good, now we get this nice sharp outline. Awesome. So now what we're able to do, use this new channel to make our piping shadow. Here. Probably need to also put in a levels of some kind so we can make it a bit sharper. But now we got a nice little shadow. I can go in and make it dark, make it less rough, give it some ambient occlusion if we needed. If it wanted to show up at all. Subtle, but it does add a lot. Just makes it look like they're touching. Okay. Gorgeous. Now this cover thing here, it's definitely a different material. So let's isolate that. Instead of, we'll make a graph. So we'll make this multi-channel, put it in a layer. We'll call this color back. Should have called it color back girl. Then make a graph. And we'll call it mask color back. And we'll need the bake. Then we'll need to pull out the ID. And we'll, of course, need an output again. Push this over here. Okay. I should have turned this into a node, the piping shadow. Yep. So we're gonna go back to this and we'll call this node blur subtract mask. And instead of feeding in a mask, we will actually get rid of the initial graph and we want to just feed in an image, which we'll call mask. That way, I can use it with any group. So, go back to piping shadow. What we do instead of, we just have this open mask value, and then that's what we draw our piping mask into. And just make sure that sorry, the node blur subtract. I'm missing something. Node blur subtract. I see. There we go. Cool. That makes it so much easier. I really wish it didn't just give us this random address here and instead use the names of the things that we've named. That would make it a little bit more straightforward. Oh. In fact, we're going to make one more multi-channel. Control G, and we'll call this silver shadow. And we'll add in our projected mask. This should also come in as UV on the default. Pretty silly, it does not. Again, oh well. Grab the mask. No. Grab the blur subtract. Then grab our jacket silver edging. Turn that blur. Okay, it's a little hard to see, but it is there. Now we just need to adjust the color. Roughness, bring in some ambient occlusion, and push this back down to something like 0.2, 0.01. It's hard to see, but there's a little shadow around the silver now. Is there though? Really should be. That's there. It's there. Go. Motome Netlema. Hi, is Blender's video editor good? I would say no. I think DaVinci Resolve's probably gonna The main issue with Blender's video editor is the speed at which it renders. Like if you have two video clips and you're just combining them, that process of it rendering out those a new movie clip, new video clip, uh, will take a lot longer than you might expect. So I would recommend DaVinci Resolve for sure. They have a free version, which is why I'm recommending it. There might be some other video editors out there. I would say for just generally like compositing your renders, like to make renders, it's awesome. Once you have those renders, doing editing and like combining things really quickly, trying to actually do the video side of things, then I would probably use something other than Blender. But also happy Friday. Welcome to the stream. Most I've used the video editor in Blender for is looping a render so the loop is longer. Exactly. I think for like just simple, really low level things, it's awesome. The moment you're trying to do a bunch of video editing, and especially for rendering out video, it gets a little rough. Especially for rendering out video. Gotta be this. Then a new graph. I'm going to duplicate Silver Shadow, move it up here. It already has the material that I want. I'll call her back shadow. And then swap out that for the mask color back. Ooh, it crashed. Okay. Oh. Welp. I didn't lose anything, thankfully. I'm going to turn it off before dropping this in, but I just need to make sure I did this correctly. So this mask, this projected mask, is the package of blur subtract. That's what I want to use. That's what I am using. But then I want to blur subtract the color back mask. And that's what crashes it. So why would that? It must be some sort of looping reference. Shouldn't though. Shouldn't have a looping reference. It's not recursive. Color back takes in this. The node doesn't take in anything. So why don't we just build it from scratch this time? So we'll say new multi-channel, new layer, projected. Really don't like that I have to do this every time. Right, color back shadow. Go to the projected mask. Take in the blur subtract node. Then we take in the color back. And it works. Okay, so that means that duplicating layers is not the right way to do things, which is a little silly, a little stupid. But we can copy and paste the layer. What is that program for? Texturing or modeling? Technically, you can do a little bit of modeling in this program, but it's mainly made for texturing. Texturing is really its main thing. It's really a Substance Painter alternative. All right, so in our silver, or this metal area, we're going to do silver noise. We're going to do mesh mask builder. We're going to lay in some curvature. Make the color a little bit nicer. Then we'll do layer in some grunge. Maybe scale it a little so it's a little bit more noise. Turn down that opacity a little. We'll do one more grunge. Actually, no. We'll do scratches. Then for the actual material, we'll turn down the roughness. Get a little bit more metallic. Some level. Yeah, we'll make it more metallic. Or at least a little metallic. And then a little less roughness, a little bit of AO. Nah, a little bit of height though. Nice. Beautiful stuff. The paneling, the piping here does feel a little plain. Excuse me. Nice to have a little shadow around these two. I'm budgeting to get a graphics tablet. Is there a difference between sculpting with a mouse and sculpting with a tablet? 100%. Well, I mean, there are exceptions out there. People can really do a lot with a mouse, but I personally believe that it would be easier for most people to use a tablet. Unless for some reason it just happens that, I mean, you could probably test for yourself right away if working a mouse is comfortable for you. But generally, there's just a lot more subtlety that you're able to get out. Just the pressure alone, because pressure is a big part of using a tablet, how hard you're pushing onto the surface. That alone gives you a lot more control. So I would definitely recommend getting a tablet if you're looking to do sculpting or drawing. It's going to make a huge difference. Again, there are exceptions, but I would say that I would be amazed to meet someone who just does all their sculpting with the mouse. Again, possible, an exception though. Recommend getting a tablet that wouldn't require much setup each time you want to use it. That's a good point. I got this tablet here. So plug it. It's pretty big. It's pretty big. Yeah. I would say that really a tablet about half this size is probably what you want. I don't think you're going to end up. I mean, you can see literally. It's kind of greasy, but this is the only spot that I draw on. Everything else I don't even use. So I would, sorry, my hands are greasy, but gross. But you can, you only need a little bit of space, really. Interesting. Get a really stylized look. Fun. All right, y'all. I got another 10 minutes or so, and then I'll be calling it. Well, you end up like me who uses their tablet as a second monitor or rarely uses it because the setup is annoying every time. Yeah, I don't. If you're starting out, do not get a screen one. They're a lot pricier. Or get an iPad instead. Um, I've never liked sitting at a desktop using a tablet with a screen, but if I can get an iPad and sit on the couch, or iPad, or there's the Windows computers, there's actually a lot of tablets out there now that you can draw with. Um, and especially if you get a Windows one, you can hook it directly up to your PC. Um, like that may alone may be worth it because then you could have your own little drawing. You could take it anywhere and draw anywhere. Then you can also hook it up to your computer and draw on it there as well. I'm pretty sure. Mouse takes time to adjust pressure, 100%. It's just you just have to be a lot more precise. I got one of those paper screen covers for mine, and it feels awesome. Feels awesome, awesome. Like a little too dirty. Dirty. Damn. Something like that. Yeah, I think it does look a little too grungy right now. So let's turn this down even more. Probably right about there. Okay. Awesome, pizzazz. So one final thing for the silver layer here. I'd like to try to make the quilted look. So to do that, I will make a new graph. Like a graph. I wish I could name it right off the bat, but that's okay. We're going to call this one actually a material. Silver quilt. And we're going to make a diamond, or actually a square, grid, like that, exactly like that. All right. And funny, count one unit size width. Don't want it like that. Just want squares. I just want square. Square. Maybe I could just make a square grid. Just like a oops. Cool. And then transform that Uh, do you think Iron Man or Spider Man used 3D models, or they saved a suit, or both? Do you mean did the characters make their? I would say Tony Stark definitely used some 3D modeling software. Um, Spider Man, Spider Man probably just actually sewed his suit. I don't think he used any 3D software, though. You may be surprised the overlap that clothing and 3D modeling have. There is a lot of overlap between the two. All right, this is what I want: checkerboard diagonal. You can actually input this in there. Whoa, what's happening? I don't know, but it looks fucking cool. Oh, I see what's happening. That's really interesting. Huh. There's that cool 3D hologram view that Stark and then Spider-Man used in the movies, trying hologram versions of things before it gets 3D printed or whatever it is. Lol. Yeah. Forgot what I was gonna say. Ah, that's all I said. Why does it come in? Never mind. That way. It's so weird. I don't understand that at all. Too tired. But I should also be able to make a normal. And then we can do. First, we can reroute the image. So we're dropping all those there, and then we can do height to. Ooh. Drews a height map in 3D using rain marching. Fascinating. Normal to height. How about height to Yes, yes. I like this. And also add a blur. Well, we may add the blur before this, but for now we'll add it right there. And we'll make it very minimal. Something like that. Should have a normal. Unused. Why don't you use the normal map I gave you? Cool. It is now 1:11 now in South Africa, and I'm still up. Luckily, it's weekend tomorrow. Hey, I'm feeling the same way. Feeling the same way. I pushed pretty hard today. We're even going a little late, which, again, I will be ending very soon. I'm having a lot of fun with doing this, though. It's really cool. I feel like, look, I'm just learning it so much. My brain is learning. What was it? Forms the outline effect from a distant field in the outer part of the shape. Actually, a blur and then a subtract would work just fine. Blur, invert, subtract. Okay, so we can take this. I'm just going to say grayscale. And we can blur this. And we can also invert it. And then we can blend it. This should give me an outline. Or do I go the other way? Instead of inverting here, I invert this one. Interesting. Not exactly what I want, but I can see a way to do it from here. I want it to be very similar to this. We'll do one more blur. Because I want all of them to have this pushed up a look. Because it's cool. So we'll want to copy this. No. The blur is the same. What I want to do I want to invert the blur. And then take the original. Oh, false. Pretty sure. Then we blend these. That's how big your brain is slow. I appreciate that. Knowing what it's going to do with these images is insane. Well, thank you. It's just all clicking things. Like, what does this do? What does that do? But thank you, Nams. I appreciate that. I think that's what I want. Oh, so close. I went I went the other way, which means I actually want this one. Yes. Yes. But thank you. Sometimes it doesn't feel that way. Sometimes I spend a whole day doing something that definitely did not work. All right, but this is working though. I like that. In fact, we're going to do the gradient map right here on this one. I did convert it twice. I don't know. Are there job opportunities for animation, modeling, or sculpting in USA? Because here in South Africa, there is none. That worked nice. There's some fishnets tool. Got it. Stat squish too. Oh, you're right. You're totally right. Yeah, you're the little. Yeah, I know what you're saying. um, well, Matome, um, there. If you have an internet connection, you have the ability to get work online. Like there might be work in the USA, um, but frankly, it doesn't matter where you are. If you have a portfolio people want with work that people want, you can make money doing this kind of work. Um, so you don't have to apologize for being from Scotland. um, but genuinely, there is a lot of work out there for this kind of stuff. Um, things may change. Like the industry is always kind of on the move. So what it looks like right now may not be what it looks like in 10 years from now. But yes, you can make a living online. That's for sure. Um, Start making things, look at things that you want to do, find and just start grinding. I would say Blender as a whole has a lot of work in it, and you can go a lot of different directions just by learning Blender um, as a software. So this is a forum here called Blender Artists, and there's a lot of interesting projects that get posted in here all the time. But something you might be interested in is there is a jobs section down here. Now, I wouldn't suggest applying to these right away, but it will give you a good idea of what kind of work is out there for people who know Blender. So I'll post that in chat. Yeah, definitely wish you well, Matome. And I do teach classes as well for making characters. If you're ever interested in that, I will also post that as well because I have to promote myself. But I also stream pretty much every weekday. So you'll still be able to see a lot of what I do here. Absolutely, absolutely. Wish you well. I wish, and anyone else that's out there, that offer applies to anyone. Um, because the reason I'm so forthright in saying that is it's still going to be a lot of hard work. Like you can understand how to do something, it's still going to be a lot of hard work to make it happen. So, um, be prepared for that. Interesting. I'll come back to that. We almost have the quilt pattern. Almost there. I wish I could look at both screens at the same time. That'd make this a lot easier. I guess I can look at it here. It's not the same though. It's just not the same. All right, y'all. This is a good time for me to call it for today. Done a lot of good work though. Super, super pleased with how the jacket's coming out. A lot of fun effects. I'll have to make sure to. Well, we'll figure out what next to do here, but I'm really enjoying it. The normals are too strong. Normals are too strong. Let's turn that down. Good night, sir. Same to you, Matome. Enjoy your evening. Good luck with your work. And I could really keep just farting around with this. I love this, but I do have to stop. I actually have to stop. Nammers, thank you for hanging out as well. Hope you're having a great Friday evening, morning. Either way, definitely enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you Monday. Classes starting up next week. Very exciting. Looking forward to getting into the advanced class, seeing where everyone's at, and kicking butt, doing more fun stuff. But we'll see you then. And again, anyone else that's lurking out there, hope you're all having an amazing Friday evening, and we'll see you all again Monday. Be back Monday. Be there for class. Can't wait for it, Nammers. See you then. And anyone else that's lurking out there, again, enjoy your weekend. See you soon. Back fun. Bye-bye.